organization. As we look at the state of project, program, and portfolio management in 2012, we see that three major business drivers are focusing organizations to take a more critical look at their practices. These won't be a surprise to anyone, since slow economic growth, shifting global market priorities, and a push for innovation all make for a very complex and risky business environment and put additional emphasis on the need for excellence in project, program, and portfolio management. In the most recent IBM Global CEO study, with few exceptions, CEOs expect continued disruption in one form or another. The new economic environment, they agree, is substantially more volatile, much more uncertain, and increasingly complex and structurally different. CEOs told us that the current trend toward globalization will not let up. They anticipate shifting of economic power to rapidly developing markets and foresee bigger government and heavier regulation ahead. These shifts are unyielding and contribute to a sense of growing, more uncertain, volatile, and a complex business environment. Previously, CEOs recognized the need for business model innovation, but today they are struggling to find the requisite creative leadership to produce such innovation. In the past, they told us they needed to be closer to customers. Today, they need to go even much farther and bring customers inside their organizations. And while global integration is not a brand new goal, CEOs are realizing they must take a step further and think in terms of increasing overall operating dexterity. Here's a roller coaster that not even thrill seekers love. It means a few things. It means that companies are going to have to be better than they were last year, just to perform as well financially. If every company in the world thinks they're going to grow by 5 or 10% this year, that statistic that you see on the graph there is saying that that's not going to be the case, because the average across the globe is predicted to be 3.2%. It means there is simply less growth to go around, and that certainly impacts organizations. Results from PMI's own Economic Pulse survey shows that percent of project cancellations held at relatively high levels through 2011. And as you see, since the start of the economic recession in 2009, that percent of those organizations saying that they have canceled or delayed projects has gradually decreased. About a third had canceled projects, and while it's still getting better, it's a slow and choppy descent in 2011 into 2012. In addition to the Pulse research, we looked at three compelling arguments in 3 annual Pulse surveys that organizations, IBM, PwC, and Wipro, conduct of global CEOs. In the IBM study, the 3 past global studies, CEOs consistently said that coping with change was their most pressing challenge. In 2011, our conversations identified a new primary challenge, that is complexity. CEOs told us they operate in a world that is substantially more volatile, uncertain, and complex. Many shared the view that incremental changes are no longer sufficient in a world that is operating in fundamentally different ways. Some primary findings in this report that today's complexity is only expected to rise, and more than half of the CEOs doubt their ability to manage it. 79% of the CEOs anticipate even greater complexity ahead. However, one set of organizations, we call them standouts, has turned increased complexity into financial advantage over the past 5 years. The most successful organizations co-create products and services with customers and integrate customers into core processes. They are adopting new channels to engage and stay in tune with customers. By drawing more insight from available data, successful CEOs make customer intimacy their #1 priority. Better performers manage complexity on behalf of their organizations, customers, and partners. They do so by simplifying operations and products and increasing dexterity to change the way they work, access resources, and enter markets around the world. Compared to other CEOs, dexterous leaders expect 20% more future revenue to come from new sources. In the 2012 PricewaterhouseCoopers survey, twin aims were to secure growth in new markets and achieve more certainty in the domestic market. As businesses have faced volatile global conditions since 2008, CEOs have created new approaches to risk management and new strategies in response. But they're not going back on the defensive as they did in 2008. Risk is not being ignored, but other issues are higher on the agenda. This year, CEOs are focusing on better execution in those markets which are important to the future of their business, while also seeking stability and more certainty in their domestic markets. In the 2011 Wipro CEO Global Report, strategic innovation is more important than ever to driving growth. This commitment to innovation will impact how companies approach environmentally friendly or green business practices, as well as how they manage their expansion into global emerging markets. For example, in some cases, companies are using so-called reverse innovation, taking innovative products and services from their emerging market efforts and commercializing them elsewhere around the world. Fully two-thirds of the executives said that they would believe that innovation is more critical than ever because of the economic downturn in 2008 and 2009. In adding one additional report, the 2011 PMI Global Dynamics of Innovation Report, examples in the report and the review literature in innovation and project management suggest that the convergent and distributed nature of today's innovation has significant implications for project, program, and portfolio management. Specifically, project, program, and portfolio management must enhance the management of open innovation, must speed commercializing of innovations, must support the development of new customer markets, and provide enhanced mitigation for large funders of innovation. Improving the effectiveness of innovation continues to be a major strategic priority. 3 out of 4 CEOs plan to change research and development and innovation capacity in 2012, of which 24% expect major change. This is partly related to the widening definition of innovation. CEOs in industries in the throes of disruptive change require radical innovation. If their business cannot quickly create new products or services that customers will buy, they will not survive. However, innovation does not just mean end product or service changes. It sometimes now includes taking costs out of processes or forming strategic alliances to collaborate. Each aspect of the business is fair game for reinvention. Executives are targeting changes to their revenue and margin models, and the organization as well, to find better ways to innovate across many market dimensions. So the consensus is that slow economic growth, shifting global market priorities, and a push for innovation all contribute to today's complex business environment. Organization strategy continues to focus on doing more with less, and many executives are still in search of that elusive silver bullet, the one big thing that will drive results and getting them back on track. In the PwC report, it states that the rise of emerging economies, ever greater mobility of goods, capital, and increasingly of people, along with accelerating technological advances in many industries, are supporting far more optimism for business prospects than the headlines today would suggest is merited. CEOs have built on the experience of the past few years and are better prepared to tackle emerging risks head on. But the question is, how will they tackle these emerging risks? PMI's 2012 Pulse of the Profession survey indicates that industries and organizations that refocus their efforts on excellence in basic project management execution can improve performance, reduce risk, save money, and result in a greater return on investment. I'll state that again. Organizations that concentrate on the fundamentals can improve performance, reduce risk, save money, and result in greater return on investment. Our research indicates that organizations that keep a sharp focus on fundamental project management practices can improve their project management success rates by more than 10 percentage points on an annual basis. In comparison, the low-performing organizations from our survey, that is, those with less than 60% of their projects completed on time, on budget, and having met the goals and business intent of the project, risk 9 times more dollars on projects than their high-performing counterparts. So the difference between high-performing organizations and low-performing organizations, the low-performing organizations risk 9 times more dollars. To put that in context, assume a low-performing organization has a project portfolio of 50 million US dollars. That means that of that $50 million, the low-performing organization is placing $13.5 million at risk. The high-performing organization places $1.5 million at risk. To put that in plain numbers, you could fund approximately 3 additional projects of average size if you were a high-performing organization.